Hey y'all, it's Nana with Nana So Crafty on LivingCooper.com. How do you like my pallet Christmas tree forest? Saw these at a craft show last year with our daughter, and her and I thought we could come home and try to make some. This is the one she made last year for herself. Quick and easy to make. Need some scrap wood. In our case, since Pops has pallets, we use pallets. Ready to stash. Need some craft paper and some paint to match your craft paper. Some glue, nails, screws, however you want to attach them, as well as some construction adhesive and paint brushes, and then Mod Podge. Just want to follow along and see how we put them together.
So I've got all my wood set up together and sorted by similar size, and now I'm going to start picking out my pieces for my tree. I'm going to make 6 slatted trees. So I'm going to line up my pieces for my tree, and then I'm going to number them. I'm making 6 trees today, so I'm numbering my tree slats A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, and A6, and then going on to B1 through 6, C1 through 6, etc., etc. Now I'm going to get my ruler and mark on some of these that I want to cut a little narrower to make my tree have the right shape that I'm looking for. Pops is going to get his saw table out and his little hand saw and show me how to make it work instead of using the chop saw or the table saw later. So let me get them all marked, and then we're going to chop them all off. Alright, I got them all sorted out, labeled, marked for cut, and Pops went into the garage to get his Works Pegasus workbench and his Dremel tool for me to chop them up. Okay y'all, this is my first time to use this workbench, and my first time to try the Dremel Ultra Saw. I'm scared, y'all, and if you could see Pops behind the camera, he's scared too. But I survived. There was no blood. It wasn't so bad, but I'm sure glad Pops does most of the heavy cutting for me. Anyway, got all my pieces cut and got everything worked out. Now for the fun part. Just kidding, it's not the fun part yet. Now we have to sand everything. Just give it all a rough sanding, get the splinters off and the rough edges. Time to sort through my craft paper and find 2 or 3 or 4 different papers I like and line them up on my slats of wood, then decide which ones I'm going to paint or leave natural, and then I will cut my papers to fit on the wood. On the wood that's too wide for the paper, I just splice them together very carefully, and then I'll get the Mod Podge ready. You can see that I've got the paper laid out on top of my slats of wood. Then I take the wood and I line it up where I like it, and I crease the paper over the wood to get the pattern exactly centered how I like it, and then I just trim it off and go on to the next piece. Get them all laid out, and I usually do paper, either natural wood, then paint, then paper and paint. Just find the pattern I like. Here's an example of where I needed to splice the paper because it wasn't wide enough for the slat. Now I'm going to get the slats of wood painted so that it'll dry while I get the Mod Podge going. Okay, I got one side and all the edges painted for each slat of wood. Now time to do the Mod Podge. For the Mod Podge, I put a really thick layer on the naked wood, and then I lay the paper over it while it's still wet, and then put a thick layer of Mod Podge on the paper. Once it dries, I put another layer of Mod Podge over the paper. Fortunately, Mod Podge is quite forgiving. While applying my splice, I realized my paper didn't line up, so I lifted the main piece, slid it to the other end, applied more Mod Podge on the small end, and reapplied the piece and added Mod Podge back on the top. And I'm just going to continue the same process as I finish each of my 6 sets of slats for my trees. Alright, let's sort through some more paper. I like this tree design, so we're going to try to make it on several pieces of slat and make it like a continuing story. We're going to do 1 piece of paper on 3 slats of wood, and then just paint the pieces below it. And you'll see the end. I think it turned out really cute. More Mod Podge. Remember, put a thick coat on the top of the wood, then lay your piece of paper over it, and another really thick coat of Mod Podge over the top. And when it's good and dry, do a second coat of Mod Podge over the top again. So all of our trees are dry from the Mod Podge and the paint, and I'm going to get a very fine sandpaper and just rough up the edges a little bit and distress the edges of the paint and the paper a little bit. This is up to you how roughed up you want or not at all. I just like it to look a little distressed. This also gives you a chance to see if you have paper hanging over so far that you need to take a straight edge and trim it off like I'm doing here. Okay, I'm going to line all 6 of my trees up and take a good look at them and get ready to find my trunks for them. Alright, for the tree trunks, I went and grabbed some longer pallet pieces from Pop's stash. So we started to attach the slats to the trunk, originally using wood glue and the nail gun, but as you can see that didn't work out because of the thickness of the slats and the warping in the pallets. They didn't quite work. So on to plan B. We used construction adhesive because it's a thicker putty type glue and it made up for the unevenness in the slat pieces. So we attached the slats to the trunks and I used some pallet pieces as spacers, centered them up, glued them on, nailed them from the back, and continued that with all the trees until they were all done.
Thank y'all for taking the time to watch our video. I hope you learned something. It's a great DIY for family event, family time together. Please leave us some comments, some constructive criticism, some things you'd like to see on our channel. We really appreciate what time you took to watch our videos. Please like, share, subscribe, hit that notification button. Thanks again for watching. Check out our other videos. We'll see you next time. Merry Christmas. Keep watching.